So we have done the collection, where we have cash sale, then we have the credit sales, and then it is paid 1 month later and 2 months later. Okay, so this one we have done. Then second step, we have determined amount and timing of cash disbursement, right? Which is the expenses, right? So this one also we have done, right? So the purchase same also we have paid it, right? Maybe after 1 month or after 2 months. Okay, so this one also we have done. Then we just write down for the other expenses like rent, right? Selling and admin, then interest, then purchase of machinery. Then we have total, right? So we have total. Then this one is the second step we have done also. So next we have the step 3, determine the net cash flow or the NCF. So what should we do? Net cash flow, this one quite simple. We just copy, right? We just copy the total cash that we have calculated in step 1 for the 3 months, right? And then the total cash disbursement, right, from January, February, and March. Then we just minus, All right, so we just minus, so we have using $2,460, 2,280, we have 180. Okay, so this one we said there are the positive answer lah. Then for February, we have 2,740 minus 3,540. So it is negative answer. So dalam cash budget, to show it is negative, kita letak bracket. We put a bracket here, indicate this one is negative answer. One negative answer. And then for March, we have 2,550 minus 1,150. We have positive 600. All right, so the step 3 quite simple lah. Just using total received minus total disbursement. Then we go for step 4. Right, so step 4, we have prepare the cash reconciliation account. So in step 4 here, we have the cash. You just copy cash reconciliation. Okay, so we have net cash flow. We have interest payment on borrowing. Then we have loan. We have plus beginning cash balance. Right, then we start one by one. What you can see here, right, this is a net cash flow and you copy balik. Under cash reconciliation, you just copy back the net cash flow, copy back. All right, so we look at month by month. Now we look at month by month. We look at the January. So interest payment on borrowing tak ada. So we are not borrowing any money. So interest tak ada, loan pun tak ada. So plus beginning cash balance, this one ada. So cash balance in December is 500 and minimum cash balance is set as 500 also. So plus beginning cash balance lah. So balance in December adalah 500. So we put here 500. So minimum cash balance adalah 500 according to the question. Right, ending cash balance. Alright, so you just tambahlah ending cash balance adalah net cash flow 180 tambah beginning cash balance, kita ada 680. Alright, 680 here, ending cash balance. And then using ending cash balance, kita tolak minimum cash. Minimum cash balance adalah the cash yang kita kena maintain dalam company, minimum cash balance. So then we have 680 minus 100, so we have surplus, meaning we have extra money, 180 for January. So minimum cash balance is the cash yang you kena maintain dalam syarikat for daily activities. Kalau restaurant, you need to maintain lah cash. So nanti customer give you money, you need to pay back the balance, right? Okay, so now this is January. So the ending cash balance will be the beginning cash balance for next month. Well, you can see here, sama lah, this is February, right? So we have tak ada interest payment on borrowing, tak ada loan. So here we have the beginning. So as I said, ending cash balance adalah beginning cash balance for the next month. So minimum cash balance sama 500. Alright, so now ending cash, right? Ending cash. So you can see ending cash adalah negative 800 plus the beginning cash. So we are still short of 120 negative, right? Ending cash balance negative. So and then the surplus or demand adalah negative 120 tolak. You remember we need to minus the minimum cash balance. So kita short 620. So kita tak cukup. In February, we have not enough money. How much we are not enough? 620. Right, so this one ending cash balance adalah meaning what beginning cash balance for March. All right, so far any question? Okay, so after that we go check for March. Right, okay, so again as yang previous we said, kalau cash deficit, so cash deficit we need to borrow money because memang kita kat February kita memang tak cukup. So we need to borrow money. As we said, cash deficit we need to borrow. Right, so for here we have interest payment already. So how much we borrow? We borrow 620. So you see, any short-term borrowing cost adalah 10%. Dalam question dia dah bagi borrowing cost, which is the interest rate, right? 10%. So interest on short-term borrowing adalah we borrow for 620. So 620 darab dengan 10%, darab dengan 1/12. Why 1/12? Sebab because we borrow for 1 month. We only borrow for 1 month because we are only shortage for 1 month. Okay, this one we borrow. So we need to pay 5 ringgit 20 for the interest. So kita letak kat sini. This one is expenses. So we tolak lah. So this is the interest that we need to pay, cash outflow. Then loan kita letak kat sini 620 we loan. Right, and then plus beginning cash flow adalah kita ambil from the ending cash flow. Then the minimum cash adalah 500. Then ending cash, this one we have lah. Using 600 yang net cash flow, we minus the interest payment 5 ringgit 20 sen plus the loan 620, then minus the beginning, tak cukup 120. So we have ending cash flow 1,094.80 cents. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have surplus already lah here. Okay, 594.80 cents. All right. So and then we have done the cash budget lah, cash reconciliation lah. All right. So far, any? So we have done lah yang ini. Okay. Next, we have the guideline for cash budgeting when we want to prepare. So as we said here, collection sales total all the percentage collection. This is what we repeat again, recap. So you total all the percentage of the sales. If greater than 100, then we are using indirect. Should separate between cash and credit sales, right? And then if equal to 100%, then this is a direct. This one direction from direct collection. This one is indirect. So bad debt not include. Purchasing raw materials based on the sales of the predicted must be purchased before proceeding on sales or depend on the question. So amount of purchasing exceed 40% sales must be converted into 100% for payment, right? For the previous question. Right, okay, based on question. Okay, so any question? All right. I have uploaded, right, the chapter berapa dah? Chapter 4. All right, we continue chapter 4, okay. All right, so we continue chapter 4, working capital management. So this one also a short chapter. Yang pendek, this one quite short. Next, we have learning outcome. At the end of the chapter, students should be able to define what is working capital and then explain the approaches used in working capital management. All right, so working capital concept here, the working capital management, right, involve this one nanti tak tahu ada right lah. Right, working capital management involve day-to-day decision, right, regarding investment in current asset and current liability. So okay, so this one we are looking at day-to-day activities. So contoh current asset yang kita guna setiap hari adalah cash, adalah inventory, adalah account receivable. That's why we call it day-to-day, day-to-day activity atau day-to-day decision, which is involving setiap hari kita. And current liability also same. We have the account payable, right, which is involving the suppliers, right, notes payable, right. So working capital management, right. All right, total current asset, right. We have the cash, marketable security, inventories, account receivable, right? Then we have total current liabilities, we have not payable, account payable. Then net working capital, this one also we learn in chapter 2 when we have the ratio, right? So we are using current asset minus current liability, net working capital. So working capital policy, so the level of each current asset, how current assets are financed, right? So when we have inventory, so how we finance, meaning that the money is come from where? When we say how we finance, we buy something, how we finance it, right? Where is the money come from? Next, we have managing working capital involve risk-return trade-off. Risk-return trade-off. So involve amount of current asset and sources of financing, current liability. This one is current liability, sources of financing like contoh, you loan from bank, you loan from bank to buy something, right? Okay, then working capital will affect the firm profitability and liquidity, right? Which is profitability. If you borrow more, you need to pay for interest, high interest, and then if you extra liquidity for the marketable securities. Okay, so you can check here profitability in this pictures. So you can see here. So if you increase your current asset, right, your profitabilities will be lower, right, and higher liquidity. One, increase current liabilities, so your profitability is higher and liquidity is lower. All right, check 3 basic working capital policy. Here are the 3 working capital policy. So first one, we have relax policy, right? Relax policy, and then we have moderate policy, and then we have restricted policy. So 3, you can see they have y-axis is representing current asset, and then x-axis representing sales. So if your current asset is higher, you can see current asset is higher, then this one is referring to relaxed policy. And then if your current asset is lower, then this one is referring to restrict policy. In between will be the moderate. Right, relaxed policy. Here it is a low risk policy. Low risk policy, so you see maintain large amount of current asset. Dia punya aset banyak with flexible credit policy. Right? Flexible policy, credit policy, which is what? Account receivable adalah tinggi. Right? Account receivable is what? Account receivable is one type of current asset, right? So they have mengumpul account receivable sangat tinggi, which is dia bagi pinjam. They give customers long period to pay back. That's why account receivable dia adalah tinggi. Okay, so high liquidity and potentially low profitability, so low return from investment due to low productivity of current asset relatively to fixed asset, right? So contohlah account receivable. So dia bagi pinjam sampai 5 bulan. That's why account receivable tinggi lah. And then it is and then or they have pegang banyak cash. Have like relax policy. And then we have restricted policy. So maintain low amount of current asset. So inventory dia pun kurang, account receivable pun kurang, dia tak bagi pinjam. Right, dia tak bagi pinjam customers tak bagi customer pinjam. So mungkin if they allow also maybe 1 weeks, right? In with stringent credit policy. Stringent mean ketat lah, ketat. So they have cash pun dia maintain secukup-cukupnya sahaja. Very restrict. So their money will be invested in fixed asset, which is a productive asset, right? Which result to high profitability but low liquidity. So meaning if the company need money, so they will face problem because very restrictive. Right, and then we have the moderate policy. So mixtures of relaxed and restricted policy. So moderate risk and return. So we have maintained liquidity, invest in productive asset, and at the same time also hold sufficient current asset. So you can see here this one they're like contoh inventory. So they have holding less inventory. So if customers nak, mungkin dia tak ada stock because they are holding very less inventory. Alright, so and for low relaxed policy mungkin dia ada banyak lah inventory. Alright. Okay, so you can see here, this is just recap how to calculate the net working capital. So we have checked. Here we are using total current asset 900 minus total current liability. This one will be balance sheet in balance sheet. So minus total current liability 600 equal to 300. This one we just recap. Then we have based on the risk return trade-off. So high risk, high return, we have stated high risk, high return, right? So how firm finance its current asset, right? Current asset. So contoh inventory, right? How company finance it. So we are using current liability, short-term financing. So lower cost of borrowing, lower interest rate, that is shorter duration lah. So which means if you borrow for 1 month or 2 months or even 3 months. Then for long-term financing, higher cost of borrowing, higher interest rate, longer duration. This one maybe you borrow for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Long-term financing normally we finance for big project lah, right? Right, so asset category, we have permanent asset, right, hold more than 1 year. Example, minimum cash balance and inventory. Then we have temporary asset. We have fluctuate with sales less than a year. So we have account receivable and inventory. And then we have temporary sources of financing. So we have current liabilities, right? We have notes payable. And then we have permanent sources of financing. We have long-term finance. Example would be long-term debt, bond. We issue bond. We have preferred stock. We have common stock, as we know. Kalau we talking about sources, kita hanya company have 3 lah: common stock, preferred stock, debt. And then spontaneous sources of financing. This one spontaneous meaning secara langsung lah. You no need to apply. So trade credit arrays from day-to-day operation. This one is from suppliers lah. So you purchase from suppliers. Suppliers give you maybe 1 month or 2 months for payment. So account payable lah. All right, so here we have, I hope that you are not confusing kat sini. So here we have permanent asset kat sini ada satu inventory. Temporary asset also we have inventory. So under current asset, we have permanent like if we are referring to a shopping mall. Now we referring to a shopping mall. So permanent current asset for inventory adalah daily products. Yang hari-hari kita beli, then this one consider permanent. Yang temporary inventory adalah like hari raya. So kita ada kuih raya. So this one will be temporary inventory. So they will be only have in festival time, like the biscuit, right? So this one consider temporary lah. So yang permanent, every time you go to shopping mall, you nak beli dia ada, then consider that one is considered permanent lah. Temporary festival musim perayaan baru ada, right? You have the products. All right, here we have 3 financing strategy a company will use. So here we have a maturity matching approach, atau sometimes they call hedging approach. So match, you have matches the maturity of the asset with the maturity of the financing. So firm use temporary financing to finance temporary current asset, right? And permanent financing to finance permanent asset. So this approach result in a moderate risk with moderate return. So contoh kalau temporary financing will be as I say, if they have event, right, like musim perayaan, so they need money to buy the temporary inventory, right, like kuih raya, baju kurung, right, those lighting. So that one is just for maybe 1 month or even 2 months. So they need money, right, to buy those products. So they will just borrow for 2 months. So they akan match. So temporary financing match dengan temporary current asset. So for permanent financing, this one as long term, dia nak build satu shopping mall baru, so they will finance for long term lah, long term. Alright, so if you are referring to this graph, which is y-axis referring to money, and then x-axis referring to the duration, tempo. So you can see that we have divided the asset into 3 category lah: fixed asset, permanent current asset, temporary current asset. So you can see that kita akan match for maturity matching. So you can see long-term financing, kita guna stock, bond or spontaneous current liabilities. So you can see that yang atas ini, yang bukit ni, so this one is referring to temporary. So like musim perayaan, hari raya, so you need money, then hari raya dah berakhir, dia akan berkurangan. So this one satu. Then next round kita ada Deepavali. So Deepavali, then you need to buy again for the Deepavali punya event. So you need money again, then Deepavali dah berakhir, then berkurangan. Then another round will be Christmas. So you need Christmas buy products temporary. So this one yang hijau kat sini adalah temporary current asset. So for this one, for maturity matching, kita guna short-term loan for this event. So kalau permanent current asset dengan fixed asset, we are using long term financing. Yang ini short term mungkin boleh pinjam dengan bank lah, just for maybe 2 bulan sahaja, right? So this one will be the maturity matching. All right, next we have aggressive approach. So we have high risk approach. So uses short-term atau temporary financing to finance some permanent asset, right? Some permanent asset. So finance all fixed asset with long-term financing, but only a portion of the permanent current asset will be financed by long-term financing. So the remaining permanent and the fluctuating current asset will be financed with short-term borrowing. So short-term debt is often cheaper than the long-term debt. So many firms may be willing, right, to sacrifice safety, right, for possibly high profit. So current ratio less than 1. Less than 1 means your liabilities is higher than your asset. So you can see if we are referring to the graph here, you can see the short-term loan kat sini dia ada termasuk sedikit permanent current asset. Right, permanent current asset. And then yang selebih permanent current asset will be financed by long-term financing. As we compare kat sini, temporary current asset will be financed by short-term loan. Right, for aggressive, they have using short-term loan for permanent. Next, we have conservative, right? Conservative approach. So we have lower risk approach. So the firm use long-term financing for the maturity of each asset. So the firm support fixed permanent current asset, average temporary current asset with long-term financing. So current ratio is more than 1. So you can see here, their finance, they are using long-term financing untuk semua aset. And at the blue color kat sini, dia ada lebihan cash, lebihan duit. There are more. So here, this one they are using for marketable security like investment, and they are using zero short-term debt. Right, so and this one they're high cost. As we know, long-term is expensive, right? Expensive than the short-term, right? But it is safe lah, conservative. It is lower risk, right? As compared to the aggressive approach. So when we do check for the risk, so why kita cakap if kita guna long-term financing adalah lower risk, sebab kalau kat sini we ambil example. So we know that this one adalah temporary, right? So hari raya. So you beli produk kat sini, lepas tu you jual, then you akan bayar balik kepada bank. So kalau kat sini you dah beli produk tapi but you cannot sell, tak boleh jual. So meaning that you will not have money to pay back the bank. But we say it is conservative sebab kalau you tak ada, you cannot sell your product also, bank tak akan minta demand money for now because you mungkin pinjam for long term, right? Mungkin you minta sini, mungkin this one is only 2 months, but you borrow for 1 year. So walaupun sini you tak dapat jual kan, so you still have ample time lah, banyak masa untuk kumpul duit untuk bayar bank. That's why kita panggil dia what this one is what? Lower risk approach. Right? As kalau kita tengok we looking at this one, right? This is maturity matching hedging lah. Alright, so the process will be you pinjam duit, you beli products. Lepas tu you sell, you bayar balik. That's why dia panggil matching. Right? But for aggressive, you can see aggressive mana? Aggressive ada high risk approach. So you are using short-term loan untuk finance permanent current asset sebahagian. So maksud kalau you dah pinjam duit, kalau you tak ada, if you predicted that selepas 2 bulan kan raya habis, you dah boleh jual your product, you dapat duit, you akan bayar balik bank. So you pinjam untuk 2 bulan. So what happen if you dah beli produk tapi orang tak beli, cash tak masuk. So after 2 months, you kena bayar bank. Right, because you loan for 2 months, right? Then you have problem kat sini lah. Masalah cash flow. Sebab you tak dapat bayar balik bank. Sebab you guna short term. You guna short term loan. Okay? So this one resulted dia high risk. Dia and this one dia ada guna permanent current assets carrier, which is supposedly kalau using matching approach, dia sepatut using long term financing, but they are using short term. If the permanent also cannot sell, so you cannot pay back the bank, so then bank akan tarik lah, tarik barang, atau dia come out lawyer letters. I ask you to pay. Right? That's why aggressive approach, high risk. Why a company want to use short-term loan compare dengan long-term loan? Kenapa? Since kita ada risiko kat sini di mana kalau kita tak boleh jual, then kita tak dapat cash, kita tak boleh bayar bank. So kenapa kita tak guna long-term financing? Then kita tak ada masalah, right? So you need money for 2 months, then kita pinjam for 1 tahun. You have to remember, short-term loan adalah interest dia rendah as compared to long-term. So if you are using long-term, then your profit will be lower lah, which is low risk if you are using long-term, but profit also lower lah. If this one, because they are using short-term, high risk, of course, they will pay less interest kalau berjaya. Kalau berjaya jual produk, then should be no problem lah, because you ada duit untuk bayar balik kepada bank. Yang ini adalah dia ikutlah matching. Short term, they are using short term loan, right? Okay. Any question regarding this one, strategy? Any question?
No, sir.
Right, if you have question, you better ask. Kalau tak ada, we will be finished already. Well, the chapter is very short. All right, okay, so we have the comparison. Right, use short-term loan, aggressive. We compare lah, yang aggressive dengan conservative. So we are using short-term loan to support the temporary current asset and part of the permanent, sebahagian permanent current asset. Right, as conservative, we are use long-term loan, right, to support all the asset. As visual, dia guna long-term untuk support semua asset, dia fixed asset, permanent current asset, and the temporary current asset. And then aggressive, high risk, conservative, low risk, and then aggressive dia punya current ratio adalah less than 1. And for conservative, asset current ratio is more than 1. Okay, then we have the working capital financial strategy. The choice of working capital policy is classic lah, return risk return trade-off law. So if you want to have high return, then you choose the aggressive. This one lah. This is aggressive. Then you choose this one. No? If you want to be less risk, then you choose conservative. Kalau you nak moderate, then you choose this one, maturity matching. Or this one is moderate lah. So again, this one bergantung lah. Again, if you want to have high return, then you choose aggressive. Kalau you nak risiko rendah, then you choose the conservative. Kalau you nak moderate, then you choose the matching atau hedging approach. So here tak ada jawapan betul salah. It depend on you, right? That's why we say risk return trade-off. Give and take lah maksud kalau you nak pulangan yang tinggi, then you need to face high risk. Right? The aggressive promise highest, right? Aggressive promise higher return, but carry the greatest risk, which is high risk, high return. Right? The conservative have the least risk, right? But also the lowest expected return. So the hedging, maturity matching fall between the two extremes, moderate. So that's under. All right. So this one will be the working capital management. Right. Okay. So you have any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No question. All right. So we go to this one is chapter 1, chapter 4. I have uploaded that chapter 5. Ada chapter 5 tak?
Ada, sir.
Ada, and then we can continue lah. All right, so we continue chapter 5. All right, so we have cash and marketable security management. So learning outcome here at the end of the chapters, right? Students should be able, right, to understand the operating and cash cycle. Why operating and cash cycle are important. Right, cash management here provide margin of safety atau liquidity to meet current obligation. Contoh bayar what pay for interest, or this one current obligation. So risk return trade-off, we have lower risk, lower return. High risk, high return. So objective, minimize the level of cash. Right, minimize the level of cash because cash will not generate income. As I say, cash there will not generate income. So company will try to maintain as low as possible. So okay, so we have 1,000 interest, right? You can see if we have 1 million, right? Interest of 2% will be 20,000 already. Kalau kita invest, right? If the money is huge, that's why company will try to reduce holding cash. 20,000 mungkin dia dah boleh bayar 10 orang, right? 10% salary for a month. So they try to minimize the level of cash. Right, and then although we say that minimize the cash, but you have to make sure they have adequate. Maksud dia cukup secukup enough money and the level of liquidity. So reason for holding cash, although that we say that company dia tak suka, right, holding cash, but they still need to hold cash for reason. First one, for transaction. All right, for transaction, this one is day-to-day activities. If you are restaurant, you can ada cash. Kalau office, you still need to maintain cash. Kalau you nak beli barang yang murah, right, like stamp ke, pencil ke, right, so you still need to have some cash. So this one is for transaction. So need to support day-to-day operation, pay bill, right, purchase materials. Right, when I say purchase material is the materials yang dia tak mahal lah. Right, the firm must have enough cash on hand to make transaction. Then we have precautionary. Right, this one is for emergency purpose. So cash outflow, exit, cash inflow, emergency. We have more the more unpredictable the cash flow. For the firm, the greatest the need for precautionary balances of cash. So if the company cash flow dia tengok history dia, if the cash flow memang tak stabil, sometimes outflow is more than the inflow. Banyak kali lah, then inflow tiba-tiba banyak duit masuk. The next month outflow banyak, inflow sikit. So if this is the case, then the company need to have more precautionary fund. Then emergency purpose can be like kalau company dia banjir ke, right, masuk air company, or fire, so we need to have precautionary. Then speculative, make return from profit making situation. So they also need to have cash when other like contoh kalau restaurant sebelah nak jual, so you can expand your business. Or then you need money, right? So you need to have at least some money on hand, cash. Or kalau supplier say that you beli banyak sikit, then I give you discount, higher discount, maybe 20% discount. So dulu you beli 1 million. So they say if you buy 2 million, I give you 40% discount. So if you want to take the advantage, again you need to have money. This one is speculative. And then compensating balances. The cash are hold at bank to compensate for service that they have performed for the firm. Right, this one is for big company. They need to maintain certain amount of money dalam bank account dia, which is the company cannot use. Dia yes, macam saving account, I think we need to maintain at least 5 ringgit, right? Can you take all the money from Excuse me. Right. So for bank also they need to maintain a minimum amount in the bank account. Dia bukan just 5 ringgit. For company mungkin they need to maintain 100,000, 300,000 in the bank account minimum balance. Okay, this one is this is the reason why company holding cash. Right, which is not necessary that when we say cash, we are talking about tunai. So the money in the bank account, bank account yang tak bagi interest, then we consider that one also cash. So for money that in bank account also consider cash. So sometimes bank they require a company to have minimum in the bank account. Right, so then we have a step of efficient management of cash. So we want to calculate the cash. We have determine operating cash, OC. Then we determine the cash cycle, determine the cash turnover, minimum operating cash. So first one, we have the operating cycle. What is operating cycle? We have time required to receive inventory, sell it, collect it, and collect on the receivable. Right? Collect on the you dah jual kalau you minta what you sell it kan. So if you allow customers to owe you or pay you later, so how long you need to collect back your money? Right, receivable generated from the sales of the inventory lah. So required receipt of inventory adalah you receive the daripada saat you terima raw materials, you receive the raw materials atau inventory lah, then you produce. Well, you produce to a finished good, dah siap products, then you jual, you sell it, then you collect back your money. So this one kita panggil operating cycle. So starting from you receive your raw material until you collect back your money from customers. So operating cycle equal to the average age of inventory plus the average collection period. So inventory period equal to time inventory sit on the shelf. Account receivable period, time it take to collect on receivable. Right, you can see here, contoh as I said here, inventory purchase. Inventory purchase, right, kat sini until you have received the cash, then this one kita panggil dia inventory, operating cycle. Right, you call this one operating cycle. So you can see that inventory purchase until inventory sold. Right? So inventory purchase kalau you ada produce then including here lah. Until you jual, then after the point start you jual, then you collect back your money. This one we call account receivable period. So kita tambah dua period ini will be operating cycle. This one is cash receipt. Right, operating cycle. All right, okay. Any question? Senyap je. Ada orang tak? Anybody home?
No question, sir.
I thought I'm talking to myself alone. All right, next we have the cash cycle. The cash cycle is what? The time between payment for inventory and receive from the sales of inventory. Right, so which is cash cycle equal to operating cycle minus average payment period. So we have equal to average average of inventory plus average collection period minus the average payment period, which is operating cycle, minus average payment period equal to cash cycle. So average payment period equal to time between receipt of inventory and payment for it. Right, you beli raw materials atau anything. When we buy things, we need to make payment, right? Right, so this one will be the average payment period. I mean, how many days start from you receive the materials. So after 7 days, you kena bayar. Kita panggil average payment period. So cash cycle actually kita calculate period, how many days. So the cash cycle measure how long, CC, cash cycle, how long we need to finance inventory and receivable, which is the time that we need to borrow from bank. So if you refer back to the previous graph, timeline, right, then you can see here when the inventory you beli, until you make cash payment kat sini, so this period adalah account payable period, which you buy the raw materials until you make payment, account payable period. And you can see that the cash yang you receive adalah lebih banyak. So you can see in between we have satu gap, and the gap kita panggil cash cycle, which is the cash you receive mungkin hari ke-10. Mungkin put hari ke-30 lah. Cash receive adalah hari ke-30, tapi bayaran kepada suppliers adalah hari ke-10. So maksud dia, you ada gap selama 20 hari. And the gap is we call cash cycle. Right? So kenapa kita kena calculate cash cycle? So that kita tahu berapa lama kita pinjam duit from bank. Sebab we buy materials, kita kena bayar kat sini. Cash pay for inventory. But our cash receive adalah in the future, masa depan. So kita kena calculate berapa lama lagi kita nak cash kita akan terima. So kat sini kita dah kena bayar. So duit ni datang daripada mana? So kita pinjam from the bank. Right here we pinjam from the bank. If you want to pinjam from the bank, first question bank ask you berapa you nak pinjam. So of course based on the raw material punya harga, you pinjam. Second question bank akan tanya you, berapa lama you nak pinjam. So how we calculate? We using this formula to help us lah to calculate berapa lama. Okay, this one adalah konsep dia. Alright, okay or not?
Okay, sir.
Alright, next. Now we go to the formula to calculate the CC. So we have cash turnover, number of time, in cash, it's turn. So we have cash turnover equal to 360. So we assume 1 year equal to 360 days. Divided by cash cycle. And then we have minimum operating cash, MOC. Right, the amount of cash that need to be held to avoid any shortage in making payment. So we have annual cash outlay divided by cash turnover lah. This one lah, cash turnover. All right, we have the question, cash management. So example, ABC Sendirian Berhad has an average age. Average age of inventory of 70 days. Right, and average collection period 40 days, and average payment period of 30 days. So the company annual cash outlay is 300,000. So first one, they ask you to calculate operating cycle. So operating cycle, dia punya formula is average age of inventory plus average collection period. All right, so now you calculate this one, and then you key the answer in the the message board. All right, so you calculate now. All right, so others also please calculate. Only 3 student calculate, mana yang lain? All tidur. All right, so we check. So we have 70 plus 40, we have 110 days for operating cycle. Next, we have calculate for cash cycle. So we have operating cycle minus average payment period, which is equal to average age of inventory plus average collection period minus average payment period. So you calculate. All right, so we check. So we have 70 plus 40 minus 30. So we have 80 days. So next we calculate for the cash turnover, which is we are using 360 divided by CC. All right, so you calculate. All right, so we check, we have 360 divided by 80, so which is here, cash cycle 80, right? So we bahagi dengan 80, so we have 4.5 times. All right, next we have minimum operating cash. So dia punya formula, annual cash outlay divided by the cash turnover. All right, so we check, we have 300,000 divided by 4.5, so we have 66,666.67. So the ABC needs 66,666.67 to support short-term obligation, the money that the company need, the ABC company need. All right. So next we have three basic elements of managing cash cycle. We have increased average payment period. Right, we have increased the average payment period, the APP. So why we need to increase? So involve delaying payment of account payable as late as possible, right? Without damaging firm credit rating. So result, firm have enough cash for business. So untuk bayaran, so they suggest that you increase the average payment period. Maksud dia, you tunggu sampai last day baru bayar. So if the suppliers give you 30 hari, you bayar pada hari yang ke-30. Jangan bayar awal, right? Increase or average payment period. Atau you negotiate with the suppliers to pay, prolong the average payment period lah. Kalau supplier bagi 30 hari, you minta boleh tak bayar dalam bagi extra 10 hari lagi, contoh. So favorable cash discount should not ignore as the opportunity cost is high if not taken. So in this case, you need to ambil kira juga discount. Sometimes suppliers want to encourage you to pay awal, bayar awal. So dia akan bagi discount. So you need to calculate lah how much is the discount. Is it the discount is better? Take the discount is better than you borrow from the you borrow longer period from bank. Okay, so this one is increase the payment period. So you can see here, this is the account payable period. So kalau you boleh tambah, so prolong, meaning that you borrow from bank akan berkurang. Kalau you tambah kat sini account payable, you increase tambah kat sini, meaning your cash cycle akan pendek. Cash cycle pendek maksud you the day atau masa yang you pinjam, right, from bank will be shorter, akan pendek, so interest akan berkurangan, right? The interest that you need to pay to bank will be shorter because you borrow dah pendek. This is the first strategy, right? Okay, so you can see example. So you can see operating cycle, this one we calculate if, all right, we just if lah. If average payment period increase to 60 days. So yang ini average payment period adalah 30, right, this one. We are focused on this one, right? So kalau APP dia meningkat kepada 60 days, right? So berapa dia punya cash cycle? 40 plus 70 plus 40 minus 60?
50.
Yes. So you can see that you have kalau you pinjam duit from bank, you loan from bank, previously you loan for 80 days. Now you only loan for 50 days, meaning that you are paying less interest, right? This one is dia nak jimat cost lah, right? This is the first strategy. Second strategy adalah reducing average age of inventory, the AAI, you reduce. So increase inventory turnover as quick as possible by efficient management of inventory. So make sure that kalau you receive the materials, so you produce it in an efficient way, meaning you pendekkan masa production. So better production planning atau scheduling and control, meaning that you just order when you need it. Maksud kalau you nak produce hari ini sampai, raw material hari ini sampai dan better. Alright? Okay, atau sehari sebelum, also good lah. Jangan you have material dah sampai, wait for a week, then baru you guna. Right, so then that one is not good lah in management your inventory. So effective sales forecasting, right? Sales forecasting. So this one is sale lah. You want to sell it. If not, kalau you dah siap tapi tak boleh jual pun tak boleh. Synchronize the production and demand. So you ada demand, then only you produce. This one is better lah. You have demand, then only you produce, then tak ada pembaziran lah atau tak ada stok yang duduk dalam inventory lama-lama. Right, so this one they said, this one shorter is better. Reduce average age of inventory, which is this one. Inventory period you pendekkan. So you're reducing. So reducing the inventory period. So here contoh here lah, we focus on this one, inventory. So previously adalah 70 70 days. So now if you you reduce, if you reduce to 50 days, so 50 plus 40 minus 30 berapa? Simple maths, tak ada orang nak jawab.
60.
Alright, so it's 60. Right, it is 60 days. So meaning that again, you dah kurang period pinjam duit. So this one will reduce your cost. Alright, next, another strategy is what? Reduce average collection period, ACP. So it involves speeding up collection, right? Speeding up collection of account receivable as soon as possible without losing your potential sale lah. So you tak boleh lah asyik kejar your customers. You kena balance, right? You want to be shorter, but you still keep your customers. So use proper techniques such as changes in credit policy and collection policy that will improve collection period while benefit the company. So here lah kat sini account receivable kat sini. Right, this one lah. Account receivable period you pendekkan. Right, you try to reduce, right, account receivable period. All right, so contoh, we have average collection period, so we reduce, right? Previously, you take how many days? 40 days untuk collect your money. So now you reduce to 20 days. So if you reduce to 20 days, dah tinggal berapa?
$60.
60 days, right? 60 days. So again, you are reducing already. You cut cost lah you only need to borrow 60 days. All right, next we have the marketable security management. All right, so here marketable securities, an instrument will be issued atau sell by a government or organization for short-term investment, less than a year. Marketable security, right? So provide lower return, right, near to cash and liquid. So reason for holding marketable security, why company want to buy marketable security? First one, for precautionary, right, substitute to cash, dia nak gantikan cash lah, sebab cash tidak ada return. But for marketable security, at least dia ada sikit return. And for investment, surplus in cash. So firm may hold investment portfolio, mix of securities with different rate, maturity, and liquidity. All right, so you can see that balance sheet yang ini I take from Microsoft. You can see that short-term investment, including security, you can see that they are the in asset, under current asset, short-term investment. So this one are referring to the marketable security. This one. So you can see that company normally they are there, right? Other. And then you can see also Apple punya. Apple, they have short-term marketable security. You can see here they have holding. So they will not holding for cash if they have extra money. Right? This one, as I say, they use for precaution. Inilah kalau dia nak duit, dia jual the short-term marketable. Right? All right, then we have marketable securities. There you can buy from money market, capital market, derivative, indirect, but if marketable security lah this one. But normally if they will invest in money market lah for short term, normally here under this one, marketable security, money market lah, less than 1 year. Right, capital will be long term. Right, and then we have marketable security management. Factors influencing the choices of securities. So you can see there ada banyak many option. So how should we choose? Adakah kita nak beli treasury bill, commercial paper, banker acceptance? So here lah the factors, right? So first one we have default risk, right? The issuer cannot pay the interest payment or to repay the principal amount on schedule. Yang ini paling, this one is the first thing yang akan mempengaruhi syarikat untuk memilih marketable security. Meaning that the risiko yang syarikat tersebut default, tak bayar. So if the default risk is high, normally company will not pay lah. This one, not buying. Interest rate risk affect the return asset like bond. So inflation risk, purchasing power risk, reduce the purchasing power. Liquidity risk, easy to convert into cash without losing the value of the security. This one also important. Liquidity, when they need money, they can sell. Return risk, return trade-off, which is low risk, low return, high risk, high return. Normally, if for marketable security short term, they normally choose for low risk. And short-term marketable security alternative, contoh kita ada treasury bill, right? When we have the word treasury, maksud this one issued by government. So issued by government at the price of 1,000 per unit, right? Sold in discount basis. So matured in 91, 182, and 365 days. 1 tahun. And negotiable certificate of deposit, NCD. So incentive for corporate, so deposit money in bank, fixed time and fixed interest, right? NCD. Next, we have commercial paper, right? Unsecured promissory note issued by a large firm like Petronas. So to raise cash. So maturity between 3 to 270 days. Number 4, we have banker acceptance. So similar to casual check, payable in future, maturity 30, 180, short-term credit, high liquidity, selling at discount, prices, and moderate risk. This one, it will be contoh lah, short-term marketable security, which is the company can invest, right? Treasury bill, NCD, commercial paper, banker acceptance. So they have more lah actually, dia ada banyak lagi. So we just explained, we have 4. So, all right, so this one will be marketable securities. All right, so any question before we stop?
Sir, nak tanya kan, kalau answer tu kan contoh 80 days kan?
Yes.
Kalau kita tak tulis days tu kira salah ke apa?
Tak salah.
Tak salah, oh still boleh terima lah.
You tak payah, don't worry about your exam in MCQ kan.
Oh, okay, thank you sir.
This semester still MCQ, so no, dia tak jadi masalah. Kalau you dah balik, then 80s mungkin dia akan tolak half marks lah. Tak salah. Mungkin tak dapat full mark je. Alright, any more question?
No, sir.
Ingat ada. No. Alright, so we check on the attendance for today. Alright, so good. Today full attendance. So bila we jumpa lagi, we meet you again on Thursday 2 to 3. Alright, thank you and bye bye.
Okay, thank you sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.